Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, you motherfuckers! Look, 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 it's a new day. It's another day, you motherfuckers. Alright, so today I had a cool idea. And my idea was I was gonna go back in time and try to count every single bike that I've had. I'm gonna try to do this to the best of my ability. Now I'm gonna have a few stipulations. I'm gonna start from my first bike and try my hardest to make it to my current bike. Now, in between all these bikes that I'm gonna grab or talk about, I won't talk about having repeats. So like when I first got sponsored, I think I got like 3 frames from that sponsor. And then fast forward, I got 3 frames from that sponsor. Fast forward, probably like 5 frames from that sponsor. And then another 5 frames. And then 2 frames. So I'm going to try to start from my first bike and make my way all the way 26 years later to my last bike. And I'm doing it all off the top of my head. And the only thing that I'm cheating by is I'm such a hoarder that I actually have photos of me riding from my beginning and some from the middle. So it helps that I have enough pictures in there and I have bikes that are on there. So chronologically, I can figure out what my first bike was to get to a couple of those bikes to end up getting to start my timeline. So we're going to start off with my first bike. All right. My very, very first bike that I ever got was my sister Angie had a bike, and it was a Blue Max, which a Blue Max is, I think, over in Europe. Mongoose had another brand, and they were called Blue Maxes. So it was a Mongoose Blue Max. Now, it was given to me, but I never got to ride it. Because what ended up happening is my dad just didn't want me to ride it, and my sister ended up taking it back. So my sister gave me the bike, and then, like a Native American, she took it back. So she basically Indian gived me on that one. So we're not going to count that as my first bike. This is what we're going to count as my first bike. All right, so after my sister gave me that bike and took that bike away, I was just pissed off, upset, crying around about it just like any other kid, bitching, moaning, and complaining. So my mom decided that she was going to buy me a bike. And she was like, hey, we're going to go up to Scheels. Scheels is like the local like sports store. There's like Dick's Sporting Goods if you're on the East Coast. If you're on the West Coast, I don't know what you guys have. Maybe you have Scheels. But anyway, Scheels had a bike shop and Scheels sold bikes. And my mom's like, we're going to go up to Scheels and I'm going to buy you your first bike. And I was like so excited. I couldn't wait. So we took a taxi cab because we didn't have a vehicle, and we got a ride up to Scheels. And I remember getting out of the taxi cab, and I started to like run away from the door, and I was getting ready to go inside because right when you went inside, to the right were all the GTs and the I think we just had GTs. So it was just a shitload of GTs. My mind was set. I was going to get a GT. That's all I wanted. I just remember being like, damn, I can't wait to get this GT. And my mom's like, whoa, wait, where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going? I'm like, I'm going inside. I want to go and look at the bikes. I'm excited to go and get one of these bikes. And my mom's like, no. We're staying outside. We're getting your bike outside. And I'm like, so what do you mean? And so outside, if you know how old school bike shops were, is they put all the secondhand and used bikes outside. And of course, my mom ain't buying me a fucking brand new bike. My mom's buying me a used bike. So we start going through all these used bikes, and I'm just looking at them, and there was like Coolharas, GTs, Dynos. I don't know if TNT made a bike. I feel like there was TNT, maybe a bike with some TNT components on it. Some of you old school heads might be able to answer that. I don't know. Did TNT make a frame? I know they made components. But anyway, so out of all these bikes that I could pick that were out front, because my mom gave me my own choice, there was a Yo Predator that was a white frame with purple mags and pink parts. I don't know if you guys remember. Remember, it was the Yo Predator that had the stem that was like a fucking ball, and it said like Yo Predator on it. It had all the pads on it. It had mags on it, and the mags were fucking purple, and the rest of it was like pink, and the bike was white. Now, as a kid, obviously I'm supposed to be super excited, but it's a fucking pink bike. All right, it's secondhand. It wasn't what I wanted, but I had an idea. So I was like, all right, Mom, cool. So my mom's like, all right, let's go get the cashier. We'll get him to unlock the bike. We'll pay for the bike, and there you go. You got your first bike. I was like, yeah, Mom, I'm so excited. Like saying it to her, but inside my head, I had a plan for this. So we go to the cashier, we pay for it, and I'm like, hey, Mom, can I ride my bike home? Is it all right? My mom's like, yeah, go ahead. So here is 11-year-old me, all right? My plan was, I remember in the back of my head that there was this kid that had the bike that I wanted. And the bike that I wanted was a Hutch Pro Raider. And you fucking bet your ass. I think it was a 1990 or 1991 Hutch Pro Raider. So my mom paid for the bike and was waiting for a taxi cab. And I rode my bike and I went straight to this kid's house. This dude's name was Fish Stump. Now, obviously we were kids at that time, but I believe he was 13. I remember riding my bike all the way over to his house, knocking on his door, and he answered, and he's like, yo, what's up? And I was like, hey, man, I got this new bike. And he's like, oh, dude, that's awesome. I was like, dude, it's fucking amazing. It's the next best thing. It's not a Schwinn, but it's better than a Schwinn. It's the Yo Predator Schwinn. It's the new shit. I was like, look, it's got purple mags. I'm selling the fuck out of this to this kid. I'm like, it's got purple mags. It's got front and back brakes. It's got the old school dry row on this. It's got that stupid gooseneck with the, oh God, that says Yo Predator. It's got the grips that wrap around. I'm like, oh, and then it's got the big laid back seat post with the plastic seat that has the roller on the back of the seat. I'm like, this is the greatest bike in the world, dude. I was like, where's your bike? And he's like, oh, I don't know. It's a piece of shit. And then, bing, light bulb hit. I was like, all right, dude, here's the deal. I will trade you straight up for this brand new bike for your bike. And then he's like, yeah, right. I was like, he's like, what's the catch? Why? I was like, because, dude, I just want a chrome bike and you have a chrome bike. What do you say? He's like, man, I'm giving you a brand new fucking bike for that hunk of shit Res Runner back there. And then, lo and behold, homeboy straight up traded me straight across for a Yo Predator for a Hutch. Now, obviously, you guys are thinking like, you grimy motherfucker. And then obviously some other people are thinking like, yo, your mom's gonna be so pissed. Which, by the way, my mom didn't know shit about bikes. So this kid, Fish Stump, straight up trades me for a Yo Predator piece of shit for a Hutch Pro Raider. And I got home, my mom's like, what happened to the colors? And then I just told my mom, I was like, oh, I got spray paint removal and I removed it all. And obviously I had no brakes on there. It had spoked wheels. Instead of the big, huge, weird, fat two-piece bars, it had like flat two-piece bars on there. It was completely different, but That is the best bike in the world. And if I had that bike right now, I'd be super excited. And it's funny that my first bike I got, I ended up trading so I could get a better bike. And the funny part is, if we went 30 years later, my first bike that I had is a hunk of shit and nobody cares about a Yo Predator. But trading that thing and being as smart as I was and knowing how smart I was, that hutch is worth a shitload nowadays. Well, it's not worth a lot. If it had 3-piece cranks on it, the hutch 3-piece cranks and maybe the hutch pedals, it's worth a lot. All right, so that was my first bike. All right, so my second bike. All right, my second bike is in 1993 is when I had the hutch. I learned how to 360. I ended up meeting my friend Travis Feller, and Travis had a Robinson, and I wanted that Robinson. So I talked to my mom. I told my mom, I was like, hey, Mom, can I have some money? I want to buy a brand new bike. And lo and behold, my mom let me buy a new bike, and I got this bad boy right here. Look at this thing. And look at me. Look at how young I am on here. Yep, that's a Can-Can at the Walmart trails. I love it. So my next bike was, I think Robinson was made by GT. So I had a Robinson. Now, I had that Robinson, I think, for a couple years before I got my next bike. So that's my second bike. My third bike, right here, baby. Check that out. The S&M dirt bike. That had Castillo bars on it, Primo hemorrhoid seat, 4x4 hubs. Let me see. The redneck, fucking, oh my God. A 44 tooth something sprocket, Primo 3-piece cranks. Oh my God, the good old days. Now, I had that bike for, fuck, how long did I have that bike? I had that bike for a while. And I'm trying to think now, in between this bike and this bike, I remember what happened. I told my mom that I wanted a new bike, and what ended up happening is I wanted to get that Hoffman Flash fork and stem combo. And when I got the Hoffman stem and fork combo, it didn't fit on my Robinson. And the reason it didn't fit at that time is when head tubes switched from 1 inch to 1 1/8. So basically, I bought a fork and a stem that wouldn't fit my old bike. And of course, being me, I was like, Mom, I got this new fork and stem and it doesn't fit my frame. And my mom's like, well, what the fuck do we do? I was like, we need a new frame. And my mom bought me the S&M dirt bike. And that's how I got the S&M dirt bike. It's because I got the fork and stem combo. So thanks, Matt Hoffman, for getting me a new frame. So I ended up getting the S&M dirt bike. And I had the S&M dirt bike for a bit. I don't want to go into the story. I guess that bike got ran over by 2 cars, and it ended up getting bent. So my next bike, my mom was sick and tired of buying bikes for me, so she told me I had to go get a job. So I went and I got a job at the local pet shop, and at the local pet shop, I had to pick up dog shit for a whole summer, and I ended up buying a standard STA 500, baby. Look at that bike. Oh yeah, that's a wall ride to Fakie X-Up. Obviously, back in the day, we weren't that good at taking photos, but trust me, it was a wall ride X-Up. So I ended up having that one for a bit, and then I had that one, and then I ended up just selling it. And the reason I sold it was Standard ended up coming up with these other new bikes, and I think it was the OX, and I wanted the new type of Standard. So I went back and got another summer job, and I bought me another Standard. So look at that. What are we on? 1, 2, 3, 4. So my 5th bike, I ended up getting another Standard. And then about that time, I ended up moving to Spokane, Washington. And I ended up selling that bike to my friend Josh. And I got Marcus Wilkie Pro Mosh. And I remember going to the skate park, and the first trick I did was a 180 to... I tried to do fakie bar up a curb, and I totally just fucking smashed. Like, I threw the bar, caught the bar, and smashed into the curb, and I snapped the cups. So, back in the day, the headset cups, you had to pound them into your head tube. They didn't come already in there. You had to pound them in. I ended up snapping both of them. And I ended up riding that hunk of shit mosh for, I think, like 8 months. And then I ended up getting this bad boy. I ended up getting the Dave Mirra Pro. I had a Dave Mirra Pro. Now, I ended up having this for a bit. And I ended up selling that, or actually, traded that to my friend Dirty Dwayne. And then my next bike, I ended up getting my first sponsor. And my first sponsor was Vandal Bikes. And now, the cool thing about Vandal Bikes is Edwin De La Rosa was on Fit. And Edwin wanted a frame without brake mounts and wanted a brakeless one. The Vandal also came without brake mounts and was a brakeless frame. So the same time Edwin did it, we ended up doing it. And so I got on Vandal. I believe I had like 4 Vandals within the lifetime that I rode for Vandal. I rode for Vandal for a few years. And then Vandal ended up stopping. And then my next bike, my boys, I ended up choosing... That's right. That's me right there. And it's totally out of focus. But that right there is me on a Ruben McNeil. Now, I ended up buying this McNeil from my friend. And I'm totally drawing a blank right now. Son of a bitch. And he just commented on... Oh, it's going to kill me. Bill Burger. Bill Burger, I apologize so much, and shout outs to Bill Burger. If you end up watching this, Bill, thank you so much. I bought the Ruben off of him for like $100. I got a deal and a half. So, I had the Ruben. I don't know how long I had. Oh, it ended up getting stolen out of my house. I'll end up talking about that story. Somebody broke in my house and stole the bike. So, I had the Ruben, and then I ended up buying a Chase D Hart Fit. I had that. I went to Portland, Oregon, and now we come into photos are done. No more photos. Now we would come into videos. So if I edited videos, I would put the video of me on the bike. So now I got a Chase D Hart Fit, and I ended up going to Portland. And when I went to Portland, I ended up meeting Ryan Shear, and me and Ryan Shear were at the skate park riding. And Ryan Shear gave me a prototype Sub Rosa. It was Rich Hirsch's signature frame. And so we talked a little bit, and he was starting some skeleton crew. And he's like, yo, I can put you on there if you want. It was nothing official. It was kind of like, if you want. I ended up sending him one photo, and he ended up putting me up on the website. So it's kind of official. I was on there. So I had that one. And then from that one, here's where it starts to get foggy. Oh, doesn't get foggy. I ended up getting sponsored by Amity Bike Co. And I got on Amity Bikes. And so I ended up being on Amity Bikes for almost 2 years. I ended up getting 3 frames from that. And then after Amity Bike Co., Robbie Morales started Colt. And I hit up Robbie, and Robbie hooked me up with a Colt. and told me, hey, Ricky, if you film some clips, we're going to have a new video that's coming out. So you can have some clips in it if you send it to us. And so Robbie hooked me up with Colt, and I rode a Colt for, I think I ended up riding it for years on that one. And then, Colt. Yeah. And then I ended up moving here to New Jersey, and I was still on Colt. And then I called Robbie and I was like, yo, Robbie, I'm getting hooked up. I'm going to get sponsored by someone else. And Robbie being Robbie, because he helped me out with Fit, and I left from Fit and I went to something else. It wasn't official with Fit. He just hooked me up on there. Then I went to Sub Rosa, and then, oh shit, that's what was in between. Before I ended up having a Fit, I apologize, let's go back. I had 6 #1 Grim Reapers from Eastern. And Lee Ramsdale called me and told me, I will no longer give you any more frames because you're breaking so many. So I apologize. I forgot that I was one of those kids that actually rode a Grim Reaper. All right, so fast forward. I got on Freed Bike Co. I rode that. I got a signature bike out of that one. And then they ended up stopping making the company. And then I got on Colt again. And Robbie started hooking me up again. I did Colt for a couple years. And then now where I am right now is I'm on Medieval. So that is every bike that I've ever owned and every bike company that I've ever been through. So I have been on Vandal Bikes. Eastern Bikes was helping me out. Sub Rosa helped me out. Then I was on Amity Bike Co. Fit helped me out. Robbie at Colts helped me out. And then I got on Freed Bikes. And then for the 8th time of being sponsored in my life, I'm on Medieval Bikes. So that is the evolution of all the bike companies that I've rode for, and all of the bikes that I've rode since I think I was like 10 years old when I got my first bike. And then now I'm 37 years old. So that's 26 years of accounting for every bike I've ever had. So what was your guys' first bike? Tell me what your guys' first bike was, and then I want to know what your current bike is right now. I don't know if you guys can do it. If you guys made it all the way through this, I'm really curious. Thanks, everybody. It's already like, oh, Jesus Christ. It's hella early in the morning. I gotta get going to work. So make sure you guys like the video. Leave a comment. Tell me what bikes you guys have had throughout your whole riding career, or what you've had, your first bike and your last bike. Make sure to share this on Instagram stories and share it on Facebook. And also you can share it on your YouTube. Make sure to subscribe, then hit that notification bell so you can be notified of every video that I make after this. And also, thanks to everybody that leaves comments down here. I appreciate every single one of you motherfuckers. And to all you people that catch on to my code words, I'm gonna whisper